And we're live. Heard any good jokes lately?
Did you see the movie Monkey Man? I figured you would have seen that.
No, I've never heard of it. Who's in it?
Dev Patel acted in it and directed it. It got nearly they needed an infusion of money, so I think Jordan Poole's production company stepped in, and so it was part of it, and it got released on, I think, Amazon Prime.
Is it good?
I liked it. I mean, it's like Dev Patel's take on like a sort of John Wick type situation.
I think I saw a preview for that. Yeah,
I liked it. I mean, it was a lot. They went for it. A lot of swings. I liked it. I feel like it was something that you would see.
It's I've been locked in and I'm pro what's the word? Horror, as you know, but I've been locked in a very horror corner, I would say, for movies for the last several months. So
you won't find me in that corner.
Yeah, there's been some good ones. So Val wanted to watch. We both like horror movies. She has a different, I like dark misery horror, whereas she likes just like gore, torture porn. So it's definitely weird for your wife to say, "Hey, do you want to watch Terrifier 2 and 3, which are strictly exist for like brutal kills." Like that's the only reason they're there. I will check out Monkey Man though. Oh man,
that's a no for me.
Yeah,
we did. Even I don't like any horror stuff. I like none of it. I don't like Alyssa and some friends went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal.
Yeah,
and no,
nothing.
I won't be going to that.
Not even the stuff like On the Edge, like what's it called? Was like On the Edge of horror, I guess. The one with Nick Cage that I liked.
The one with Nick Cage.
That was directed by Anthony Hopkins' son, Oz Hopkins. Is it someone in the chat? What am I talking about here?
I don't think I saw it. Is that recent?
Yeah. It just came out in the last 4 months. It was very critically acclaimed, made a bunch of money.
No.
Fuck, long legs.
No, definitely not. Not a chance.
Okay.
Not a chance. No, I'm not going to fucking hayride, Spike. I'm not saying long life.
Right.
I'm not going to fucking. There was something, I don't even know what it was called. Something that was supposed to be spooky, which is okay, fine, fun little spooky stuff.
You don't even like that.
Goofy, spooky, fine, fun. But if there's the fucking, and my buddy was like, there's not gonna be any crazy guys trying to scare you,
trying to touch you. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then we get there, and there's 4 guys come. You have to walk past the guys. And I was gonna go. I was gonna leave before something. I was gonna go have dinner with some of my friends and then come back. And I was like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back to walk through this by myself when it's darker. Not a chance. It's fucking. There's scary wolf guy, head tilt lady.
Yeah.
Clown.
Asylum. Escape from the asylum guy.
I'm good. I don't need any of that, because here's the deal. Here's the deal, and this is starting to bleed into what I will say on the podcast. But if you come at me, I'm fighting. I'm ready to fight. And if you tell me I can't hit them, if you can't tell me I can't hit them, then that's bullshit. It's not fair. If you're coming at me, I'm coming back at you. I'm not just gonna stand there and be like, whoa, okay. No, fight, fist fight.
All right.
I'm charging them. I'm charging them. How weird is your head? How spooky is your head tilt then? No, I'm fucking shoving that shit into the dirt.
Okay. All right. Let's try this. The Rights To Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP at mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Body Bio. Get 20% off any Body Bio order with promo code Norman at bodybio.com. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights To Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, quite an evening as the Sixers lose again. Joel Embiid shoves Marcus Hayes, and we are two what the fuck moments into the season, and Joel Embiid
hasn't been a ruling yet.
Hasn't even played.
Need to be an official ruling. Let's see if we're unanimous.
You're right. Well, no CJ here, so it could be split depending on your vote. Two quick notes. There's two new podcasts from the Ricky family of podcasts. There's a new episode of the Draft Council this week going over the NBA's best rookies so far and why some of them are struggling as well. A new Carl Landry Record Club podcast. We talk about Pantera's vulgar display of power and Touche Amore's Stage 4 and a new song from Leon Bridges. You can get those wherever you get your podcasts. Carl Landry Record Club Live is November 20th at Underground Arts. Me, Mutlu, along with Jason Lipschitz and Andrew Underberger, will talk about Jason's new book, It Starts With One, which is about Lincoln Park. There are links to purchase tickets in the description here. $10 for general admission, $29.08 gets you a ticket to the show and the book signed by Jason. Mentioned Kinetic Skateboarding. They've had a lot of cool collaborations recently between a skateboard company and some other entity. There have been, the music ones have been really cool. There was a Misfits one, there was a Guns N' Roses one, there was a Britney Spears one, and this one, there's a Santa Cruz collabo with Godzilla. Now, all the skate decks are sold out, which is not a problem for me because I don't skateboard, but there's a t-shirt and a hoodie in the online Kinetic Skateboarding shop that is worth checking out. And while you're there, you can see all the other clothes they have and the sneakers that you can't get anywhere else. You're never going to find them anywhere else. Converse and Nikes and Vans and all that stuff. New Balance. So go to kineticskateboarding.com, use code Dave Silver, and you get 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who you shouldn't touch in a haunted house. That is one Mike Levin.
Oh man, let's go. Let's go, dude.
By the way, have you seen the haunted house where they torture you and you're not allowed to leave or whatever? You should look on YouTube.
I will.
Okay,
I'm bringing a gun into that haunted house.
So normally,
I'm getting out of there.
Normally, we start with the game and then we get to the goofy stuff afterwards. But the Sixers will not let it happen.
No.
So, all right, we'll do the game second, which was terrible. But it's been quite a 4 days in the world of Joel Embiid and the Sixers. And I'm going to give a recap. Is that fair? Give a recap, then we discuss. Quick recap for anyone who wasn't following around on Twitter. And I would like to say off the top that while this will be amusing to talk about, all of it, I'm so exhausted by the Philadelphia 76ers. I think I hit my breaking point this week. Where
I'm invigorated.
Oh.
This started me back up.
Oh, really? I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Here we go. So I think it was almost 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, Marcus Hayes wrote an article criticizing Joel Embiid not being ready to play at the start of the season, which included the following passage. Joel Embiid consistently points to the birth of his son Arthur as a major inflection point in his basketball career. He often says that he wants to leave a legacy for the boy named after his little brother, who tragically died in an automobile accident when Embiid was in his first year as a 76er. Well, in order to be great at your job, you first have to show up for work. Embiid has been great at just the opposite. Now in his 11th season, he's consistently been in poor condition. The poor conditioning apparently seems to have delayed his debut to the season. Embiid won't play in Wednesday's opener or the next 2 games. So after bad feedback online,
we didn't really talk about it. I referenced it, but it didn't feel like necessary to go into how.
And you hadn't even, I remember asking you if you hadn't even read it or whatever, the article.
I saw that. And I'm like, I'm good.
Right. So after bad feedback online, that section of the article was removed. It was removed from the digital version, not the print. And Marcus tweeted something to the effect of, I don't have it in front of me, but something to the effect of, after all the feedback, I changed it. Thanks for the thoughtful blah, 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 something like that. Okay. So then Joel, in his first press availability since the season started, mentions Marcus. Do you want me to play that audio? Is it worth playing now?
If you want. Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So here is, let me play the correct one. And by the way, the article mostly came and went, I would say. You know, there's the normal one-day blow up online, and then it sort of went away. And I think the Inquirer articles being paywalled prevent a lot of people from actually reading it. So I think that was also an issue as well. So
upsetting.
Yeah. So Joel was speaking on. He's doing better, as you can hear. Joel was speaking on Friday about not playing. It was the first time he had talked all year. And he went through this passage about, which touches on a couple of different things. It's about a minute and a half long. So here you go.
When was it decided between the Olympics and today that you would be taking this approach and missing these games to start the season?
It was never decided. Like I said, everybody has been on the same page. If your body doesn't react well, and if your body tells you one thing, and I've done it. From what I can tell you, I've broken my face twice. I came back early with the risk of losing my vision. Had broken fingers. I still came back. So I'm not gonna sit here and be when I see people saying he doesn't want to play, I've been way too much. I've done way too much, for this city, and putting myself at risk, for people to be saying that. So I do think it's bullshit. Like that dude, he's not here. Marcus, whatever his name is. I've done way too much for this fucking city to be treated like this. So done way too fucking much. But like I said, I wish I was as lucky as other ones, but that doesn't mean that I'm not trying, and I'm not doing whatever it takes to be out there, which I'm gonna be here pretty soon.
Joel with a classic, Marcus, whatever his name is, clearly knowing. Right.
Yeah.
So
dipping back into his old ways, which obviously, like, he got some shit for this, like, I think nationally, about like doing so much for the city or whatever. Locally too. And I think people talked, like, he's talking about the fans criticizing him, which is obviously wasn't what he was talking about. He's right. Like, he's played through so many injuries, and you can say, hey, you could have gotten in better shape for some of those things that wouldn't have happened, whether it was like knee or back or just health conditioning, whatever. But he's also gotten like freak injuries, Markel's shoulder, Siakam's elbow, Bell's palsy, like the horrible case of just stomach flu during the Raptors series, gastroenteritis. Like, it's not like he's played through so much. He was like,
it's not that he doesn't want to play.
It's not that he doesn't want to play, dude. It's been unlucky. It's bummer. It sucks. And there's times you go like, hey, you could have like taken your health more seriously earlier in your career, whatever. But like this idea that he's any scratch and he's not there is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And by the way, like, and this, it's funny, like this would have been the entire part of the discussion if last night didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like if you're talking about Marcus Hayes and Marcus Hayes isn't there, like, I can understand why people would perceive that it was about something other than Marcus Hayes.
Sure.
Because he wasn't talking to Marcus Hayes. And I understood why people were like, come on, with the whole, all I've done for this fucking city. And the quote looks terrible and all that stuff. Just wait till Marcus is there, is essentially the lesson learned in that. Okay.
But he's rarely there.
You don't know if he's rarely there.
That's what I'm not there, obviously, but I've heard from the people that he's rarely there.
Yeah, well, he's also a columnist. He's not a Sixers beat reporter, right? Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. He was upset with what Marcus wrote, obviously. I think the response to that, if directed at Marcus, would have made sense. I also understood how that quote looked bad without the total context. Sure. So then last night, after just an atrocious game where the Sixers lose again, a tweet that I think may challenge Keith's other two amazing tweets, one being the 9/11 alarm clocks and the other one being the wet hand.
Sure.
This is a great tweet, just out of nowhere. People were like, wait, what? The tweet, oh boy, people will, this is in the tweet, by the way. Oh boy, people will remember the Sixers season for all the wrong reasons. The team just dropped to 1-4 and Joel Embiid assaulted a reporter in the locker room.
He's so weird, dude.
There's such a way to report that, and that is not the way.
Stunning decision-making at all turns.
It's the best. So let me just finish
Get through it.
the info here. Okay. So then he responds to someone's tweet, and the response to the tweet was just, he punched him, which was later deleted. Okay.
I believe quickly deleted.
Quickly deleted, yes. So then, by the way, can you imagine if you're Rob King or Dave Scholler, who is like trying to like manage, like, what the fuck did Keith tweet? He didn't punch him. Fucking tell Keith to take that tweet. That's just amazing. Amazing.
I think he punched him needs to go in the intro video.
Yes, I think so too. CJ, wherever you are. So then Shams reports that Joel Embiid shoved a reporter and did not punch him, does not name what happened. And then we get more, and then I'm almost done with the whole background here. We get more info from both Kevin Cooney with the AP, who wrote the entire, because there were people there, and then Sixers Adam this morning wrote something else. So this is per Kevin Cooney. As reporters entered the locker room to talk to players, Embiid stood and confronted Hayes. The next time you bring up my dead brother and son again, you are going to see what I'm going to do to you, and I'm going to have to ... live with the consequences, Embiid said to Hayes. Embiid appeared to get louder at that point, and not long afterward pushed Hayes on the shoulder while the team's public relations chief got between them. Another PR person moved Maxi's interview to the hallway outside the locker room, trying to clear reporters. At the same time, a team security person asked the media not to report on what had happened. Embiid yelled over the security guard, "They can do whatever they want. I don't give a shit."
The hell yeah.
So then this is Sixers Adam this morning. Hayes attempted to interject a few times, but Embiid did not give him an extended chance to speak. Hayes asked Embiid if he could apologize. Hayes had said early in the conversation that he regretted mentioning Embiid's son and brother, and clarified that the paragraph containing the references had been removed from the column. And Embiid conveyed that he was not interested in any sort of apology. As the confrontation appeared to be nearing its end, Embiid became physical with Hayes, putting his hands on the area of Hayes' shoulders. Hayes stumbled a couple of steps backward, maintaining his footing. Hayes did not appear to be physically harmed in any way. As soon as this occurred, three of Embiid's teammates restrained him to ensure I cut off after that. Okay, so that is the entire background on what happened. We will give our commentary on that right after. This is the most valuable ad Mortgage CS has ever had, honestly. Mortgage CS. If you're going to buy a home and you need to get a mortgage, whether you've worked with a mortgage broker before or you haven't, I would tell you that you should give Mortgage CS a call, shoot them a text, or give an email. They work differently than most mortgage brokers do. First of all, they're independent. They don't have any like secret ties to any banks that you don't know about, which happens with some bigger mortgage companies that have these relationships. Second of all, they are like incredibly responsive all the time, no pressure, and available to you. Those things are different than a lot of mortgage brokers who bite off more than they can chew, are not always available, are quick, do not take the time like Mortgage CS does. And I've experienced both, and Mortgage CS is the real deal. I would also tell you this: if you're going to buy a home, use Mortgage CS for a second opinion. Some agents, real estate agents will say to you, or even mortgage agents will say, real estate agents will say, you have to use my preferred mortgage broker, and you don't have to do that. And you can always get a second opinion. And the other thing is they can help you through like what's happening now. It's a very confusing time for like mortgage rates. So the Fed starts cutting rates and everybody assumes mortgage rates go down, which they did for a little bit, but now they're creeping back up because what happens is the banks assume, like look ahead and see that inflation could come back and the mortgage rates go up. Navigating this, you need an expert, and Mortgage CS is that expert and will take the time to guide you through this. I mentioned always available to you. Here is Ben, the CEO's cell phone number, 267-391-7425. That is 267-391-7425. I encourage you to reach out whenever you're interested. Also, actually, if you're listening right now, text him and ask him what he thinks about the Marcus Hayes Embiid thing. See if he'll answer. I'm sure he will. Always does. They're always available at night, on weekends. They are committed to you. If you don't, you could also go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. You can schedule a consultation there. You can learn more about their great, great, great business who I'm so proud after they started with us maybe 2 years ago, and every email we've gotten about Mortgage CS has reflected these things that I've said. People have loved them. So again, go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky or call or text Ben at 267-391-7425. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. I don't have a particularly nuanced or deep take on all of this. So I don't know if you want me to go first or if you want me to go second.
Well, I mean, my opinion. So a couple things. Punched is hilarious.
Yes.
It's very funny. He didn't punch him. Shove is, I believe, even too far for what I heard it described. I think maybe just like a hand on the shoulder, and the fact that Joel is one of the strongest people alive.
Yeah.
Like
he's 7 feet tall,
a regular person
pounds.
just would stumble back from that. But if you wanted to shove him, there would be more significant consequences.
Push maybe? I don't know.
think push is push is better than shove, but I think it's a lighter. It's just like a get the fuck out, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's not like it didn't escalate, whatever. Joel was pissed. He comes into the locker room. It wasn't a conversation. Like Joel just wanted
yelling at him.
Joe yelled at him, which is within his right. I don't know how. There's probably nuance in like a Sixers communications PR way where it's like, hey, Joel wants to yell at him. Let's get a phone call going so Joel can yell at him.
Or a separate room somewhere.
A separate room.
If Joel wants to yell at him, maybe they know that this is coming. I'm not telling them how to do their jobs, but maybe rather than in the middle of the locker room, in a room somewhere else where Joel berates him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing is I heard that the funny thing about he punched him is that from the list of people that I heard was there for that moment, Keith was not on the list of people that were there,
which is probably why he said it, because it's probably communicated to him,
right?
Yeah,
but it's so funny to do that,
to
be the one to break it and to be like, I wasn't there, so it's whatever, and they're in a room of reporters,
right?
So that's good. You say your take, and then I'll go harder on it rather than me starting so hot,
right? And then me coming in and being like, "Bah." Yeah. So we actually talked about, we were on the air on Friday after the Embiid audio came out. And like I said, the thing about this fucking city was the story at that point. It was noisy enough. So, and I said this on Friday, and I do believe it. I think what Marcus wrote was out of line. Of course. Like, I think it was out of line. I said this, and Marcus is, for transparency purposes, Marcus is he is not primarily a WIP person. He is an Inquirer person primarily, but does part-time shows at WIP. So I am a co-worker of his in that way, and I have a good relationship with Marcus. But what Marcus wrote was out of line, and it felt like personal and unnecessarily out of line, in that he could have written the entire article like burying Joel without including that part of it, and it would have been fine. Which people said that, you know, in some of the reporting, that Joel said, if you're going to write what I say about basketball, that's fine. Sure. Don't do that. And it clearly touched a nerve, and it was like inappropriate, unnecessary, shouldn't have been written. That said, like, you can't, like, Joel touching him in any way and threatening to be even worse next time is, I can understand why he's so mad, but it's like a bummer, because he's not only do you not handle things that way in a professional setting, which they are in, but Joel's like, as you mentioned, a incredibly strong, incredibly big professional athlete, and Marcus Hayes is like a 60-year-old columnist. So like it's not really a fair thing. So like the sad part is that if you're the NBA, there's no way on Joel's end to not take it seriously. Like you can't do that. Like you can't do what he did. So they will have to take it seriously. I assume he'll be suspended for, now you could take that for, that's funny anyway. Maybe we have a good excuse for not playing the next 3 or 5 games or whatever it is. And I know a lot of people are like, well, good, that's what you get. But like, I don't know, that's what you say in like high school. Like, I'm not saying like Marcus is fine, right? He'll live, like he didn't get hurt, all that stuff. But like, you know, if it had been the other way around, if Embiid had said something particularly shitty about Marcus, and Marcus went in the locker room and pushed Joel, like that wouldn't have been cool either. So I think I am incredibly sympathetic to how Joel feels right now, because he did not want this season to start the way that it has, and it has been incredibly intense. And the Sixers sucking, by the way, has made everything significantly worse, more intense. Like if Paul George had just been playing and they were 3-2, like I don't think the Heat would be the way that it is.
No.
But they're so bad, and I think he's feeling it. It almost feels like, and then I'll wrap it up. 10 more seconds. Sometimes it feels like Joel is at the point in his career in Philadelphia that Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, where you know that they're great and there's so much baggage around his history here that you wonder if it can ever get navigated back to normal, you know, because people are agitated. And I mentioned, you weren't on the pod, but I mentioned like the fan experience for the last 10 years, unless you're lunatics like us, has not been particularly fun. There have been good moments in there, but there's been more stress and anxiety. So like that's a lot. So anyway, my thing is to say what Marcus wrote was incredibly inappropriate. And if you're Joel, like you can't touch the guy. So so that's sort of where I am on it. I imagine you will handle it slightly differently.
Well, yeah. So obviously, if you work with him, he's your coworker. It's like I'm speaking just for myself here.
Yes.
My opinion is that Marcus Hayes has been like in Philadelphia media for the last 30 years, 25, 30 years. He's been around writing in various stuff, and he's always been awful. He's an awful, awful writer. He hasn't had like a compelling thought I've ever read, and he's been doing it, and he's been grandfathered there for so long, and he's been writing him, not only him, but like there's guys that write this kind of article about Joel over and over and over and over again, doing the same, like, he's not tough enough. He's not tough enough. He doesn't care. He doesn't get us. It's like the same article over again. And then he goes and says something that's obviously so heinous, like laughably heinous, about like invoking like the idea, alluding to unsubtly that he's alluding to, he's disappointing his son and the memory of his dead brother. Like that's so clearly fucked up. And you said rightfully that Marcus Hayes is like 60 years old and Joel's 7 feet tall and very strong. Like, then that should give you pause to write bullshit like that. You should go like,
I don't agree with that.
If
I don't
like
agree.
it's fuck around and find out. You shouldn't get to feel comfortable being like, I'm gonna write the most heinous shit ever. If Joel said, you
So
said
wait a
like,
minute.
if
So
Joel,
wait a minute.
well,
So
let me
wait a
just finish.
Okay.
If Joel said like, yeah, Marcus Hayes, and then started like making fun of his family members, I don't know anybody about like, and going into specifics about that. Yeah, I think Marcus would come to the locker room and be like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, I think he would, and you would be, and he'd be right to do it.
So
like,
let me ask you
there
this.
is stuff that you can criticize about basketball, and there's stuff that you can't. And if you cross a line, which he did, then you should feel some threat of like, this is gonna, like, there will be consequences. You shouldn't be able to just go like, I get to do whatever. If
So
Tobias
let me
Harris
ask you
showed up
this.
to my door and
Yes.
said, "Heard you said I had COVID brain," I'm getting my ass kicked. I should get my ass
Well,
kicked.
right. But you've wished death upon Jerry Colangelo. You said that about Tobias Harris.
Jerry can try it. Let's see it.
And truthfully, like, I don't think either of those people, because you had, and again, like, there's people in chat saying, this doesn't seem like I'm defending Marcus Hayes, does it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
All right, because people are whining that, like, I'm definitely not.
No,
I said what he said
I could
was
be this
wrong.
guy because I'm more removed
Yes.
from it, and
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit of a like, give me some little violence. The
Yes.
idea that like violence is never the answer. I'm just like, that's like the best availability quote to me. Like, of course violence is the answer. Sometimes read a book, grow up. Of course violence is the answer. We're not 4 years old. Violence has been the answer historically many times, and sometimes you got to resort to violence. And it's like, do I think Joel should have like murdered him in the locker room? But probably not. That wouldn't have been good. But like the idea that he said some really heinous shit and Joel got in his face about it and lightly shoved his shoulder, like, I'm not going to be clutching any pearls about it. And like shitty columnists writing the same thing for the 8th year in a row, like, should have pause doing that and crossing a line that he obviously did. Like, it's not a Trevon Diggs situation where that reporter writing about the Cowboys was like, what is Trevon Diggs thinking in this situation? Which is a football thing.
Yeah.
And then Trevon Diggs goes to him and is like, gets it in his face. He later apologized, whatever. But that's a media athlete normal interaction. Like, media says something, hey, and then the athlete comes back, it's like, hey, you don't know, you don't play, like, you could never do what I do, whatever. Like, that's average. Like, it doesn't make Diggs look good, whatever. But like, if somebody crosses a line like he fucking did, he should feel, oh, I shouldn't, I'm gonna get my ass screamed at. And he did. And that, I think what happened is totally fine, and also obviously very funny.
Okay, there you go. Well, and I expected that out of you.
Yeah,
I want to
We've been doing this a long time enough to know where each of us would stand.
I want to be once again clear again that I've said this numerous times. I think what Marcus wrote was out of line, unnecessarily personal, and the fact that Joel is angry at him and yelled at him. Mostly my annoyance in all of this is like, I'm put in the position to like say either what Joel did was okay, or you know what I mean? Like, and I'm worried, and I just want the temperature of everything around the Sixers just to go down currently, just because it's like very shitty right now, like more shitty than normal, more shitty than this season was supposed to be.
Sure.
You know? So
look,
that's all.
it's the season is going badly. The team is one of the worst 3 or 4 teams in the league without their 2 best players. That's unfortunate. You wish that they would be a little bit better. Tensions are high. Joel, I'm sure, can feel, as he's felt for the last few years, like the number of opportunities that he's going to have to do this thing and finally fulfill all the promise that he has and has shown at different times, and how close they've been to actually making that playoff run. He can feel that shrinking and closing. And after last year, he is being, against his own like impulses, I believe. He's trying to be good. He's trying to be good about like not pushing his body at a time that's not in the playoffs, so that by the time April, May comes along, he can finally just like be there and not be questionable for every game and not miss the first 2 games of every series and not be like, hopefully Joel can like ramp back up. He just wants to be like legitimately healthy for that time. And so even though he wants to go like, this team's fucking sucking right now, I want to go out there and play. So it's hard for him to do that. And then, as it would be hard for anyone to do that this many years into their career, as he sees how bad the team is without him every time. And then he writes, and then this thing comes out, and it gets obviously so personal in such a heinous way, which is such a core wound of Joel that Kyle Neubeck wrote a really nice article about it. But like just the like he moved to America when he was like in high school. He didn't see his brother for 3 years. His brother comes to visit, but Joel's on the West Coast for basketball, and his brother's in the East Coast, and they're like, oh, we'll see each other in a little bit, and he flies back to Cameroon, and then he dies that year, and it's like that's in a car accident, and that's so heartbreaking, and that is like a human thing of like what could have been, like what did basketball take from me if I didn't do this? I would have gotten to spend more time with my brother. Like that is a really like you don't ever heal that wound of the like what if kind of thing. And then he names his son after his brother who's passed, and it's like, and it's all gets tied together, and we're I'm sure that's all wrapped up in it for Joel. And like you saw it's in the intro video of like when he wins MVP and his son Arthur like runs over to him and Joel's crying. Like it's an emotional thing. He's been here. He's a grown up man. Like he's worked through a lot of stuff, and then now he's got the not playing and the Sixers sucking and the window closing, plus that all that other stuff, and then here comes an article, and it's like I totally see why that would push him over the edge. I completely see it, and so
and to be clear, I understand that
I'm not saying
too. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you're doing anything other than not being as crazy as me. I think that's totally fine, and it's like that's
all right.
But that's why I'm here.
And by the way, I want to add in there, if you disagree with us on the plan for Embiid, like if you think it was dumb for him to play in the Olympics, if you don't think it's great to have your best player plan to play 40 games a year, all those things, those are all fair criticisms. I disagree with both of them, but I think that they're all fair criticisms. The Sixers are not doing this in a way that should make regular fans feel like comfortable and enthused about everything.
Sure,
they're trying to walk the thinnest line in between. Like this is where they are. This is the situation that they're in. But there's plenty of criticism, normal criticism, to go there without having to mention the guy's son and brother,
which is obvious. And I think the Sixers getting blamed in this. Like, look, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody with the team about like what the actual real is, but my guess from just being here is that like. It's a lot about based on Joel's comfort, and they're being more cautious than they've been in years past. And they probably think that Joel is really just like a 40-game player.
Yes.
And so let's see if we can get the most games possible for when it's going to count the most. But that might, I don't think that's ironclad. I don't think there's like a schedule the way we release a Ricky schedule. Like here's what's going to be. Okay, here are the games Joel's going to play, and here's what the games he's not. And I think the fact that they are horrendous without him, and maybe they improve when Paul George gets there to the point that they can stack up some wins and it's fine, but like things could change if they're bad enough that they're not going to make the playoffs without this. Like I think that their tune could change for sure, but it's not like I'm not defending the Sixers guy. I'm really not. I think they've handled so many things poorly.
But this is the situation they're in right at this moment.
They're in, and Joel is like, there's not a secret thing. I think it's just let's be super careful, super safe. If it feels right, then let's play. If it doesn't, then let's not, and let's be more careful about it than we've done in recent years.
And I said on the last pod that the thing to understand about this is that like this isn't, people think that there's like an extra injury they're not telling you about. That's not what it is. But the thing that they haven't said out loud that is absolutely true is that and I went through all of them. He's had like 6 different injuries on this knee, including 2 meniscus tears, 2 bone bruises, tendonitis, all those things. This is at this point, a condition, not an injury. Yeah. So like what's going to happen this year is when he's feeling good, he's going to play. And then sometimes, like with things like this, he will get fluid in his knee or something, or there'll be swelling, and then he won't play for 4 games. And there won't be an injury associated with that. It'll just be management of this. Yeah. And I don't believe they would have signed him to the extension had they not believe that this was their best path forward, given all of the whatever other options they are. But this is what it is. Like, the knee is always going to be a thing. There will be times when he will sit out 3 games because of the knee, and you'll go through all this game tape trying to figure out what happened, and nothing happened, because he will have stretches where he feels good and he has stretches where he won't feel good. And the last thing being that in the playoffs, it is far more likely he will just play through the bad stretches. But luckily, he would not have done that during the regular season, which will put him in a better position to do that.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. And truthfully, and actually, let me do this, and then we'll finish up on that. Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Body Bio. Use code Norman for 20% off your order. Norman. You know, going through things like this, you got to stay hydrated. So Elite is there for you. You're going to have tummy aches. So Butyrate is there for you. Butyarate. And you got to be healthy, which is why you got to try Fish Oil Plus. Fish oil over the last 20 years has become so much more popular. You go to the drugstore, you see it everywhere. You hear ads for it everywhere. The problem is that all of this fishing to get all of this fish oil has led to lower quality products, lower quality fish oil. Also, stuff sitting on shelves forever, so it can go rancid, can be oxidized, that sort of stuff. The thing with Body Bio is before anything gets shipped out, they check every batch of everything they send out. So their Fish Oil Plus is just a higher quality fish oil, which means that your body is going to absorb more of those good things that you can get from a fish oil supplement. They use wild herring caviar as the main ingredient. They gently extract the nutrients, and that's what they make Fish Oil Plus out of. And remember, everything that goes out of there is tested for heavy metals, so mercury, which you hear about fish oil a lot, oxidation, prolonged heat exposure, all that stuff. So if you're taking a fish oil supplement, if someone in your family is taking a fish oil supplement, if your friend is, I want you to recommend Fish Oil Plus. Just try this. It is a better quality of what you're already taking. Just better. Go to bodybio.com, use code Norman for 20% off. That is bodybio.com, Norman for 20% off. The last thing is it's a completely fair question to ask. Hey, can they actually play together enough to be good enough in the playoffs to win a championship, only playing this many games?
For sure.
Fair question. I don't know. I'd bet on no, but it's certainly...
You definitely get better odds on...
Yes, on no, but it always comes to this, which is the frustrating point of this conversation. You could say they should have traded him 4 or 5 years ago, and maybe that is the right answer. But we are here now in this particular situation. And in this particular situation, obtaining a player as good as him is so hard and unlikely that you are better off just seeing this through and seeing if you can make it work. But if you were to say back to me, no team that only played 35 games with all their key contributors together is going to win a championship, I would say fair.
Probably.
I would say fair criticism. So
can a team that play 35 games together beat a good team in the playoffs one series, please?
That would be. I would take that.
Can we get one series win that feels good?
Yeah.
How long do you think the suspension is going to be, or do you think it's going to be just a sizable fine?
No, I think he'll get suspended. Yeah, and the quote doesn't combine with the push all that well. You know, the next time you say something, I'm going to do what I'm going to do to you and live with the consequences.
I would like him to spell out what that is.
What the consequences are. My gut tells me it is this sounds moronic. It's either a 2-game thing or a 5-game thing. I don't think it's anything more than a 5-game thing. That would be my guess.
I think that'd be crazy. I think, I mean, I personally don't think it should be anything. I get that if once you hear the like reports from people in the area and you go like, oh, so if he didn't touch him at all, it would be 0. It would just be like a screaming match with a reporter. If like the touch is the situation, like it's not like he bumped a ref during the game.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I think the touch is yelling at him is not the issue. The issue is putting your hands on him.
Then I'm sure they're going to ask. It'd be very funny for like the all the Sixers beat reporters to be getting interviewed by the NBA.
Right, about what happened?
The investigation. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Maybe it's the law firm that specializes in these kinds of things.
I thought about calling Sixers Adam to come on. But then I thought to myself, there is no way Sixers Adam wants to expound upon anything he saw, anything more than he did in that article. So
it's funny. It's a funny situation. I will say this. Obviously I've been enjoying myself.
Oh, this is a what the fuck moment. Can we please?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
So we're at 2.
Yes, it's tough to bet the under like I did.
Yeah.
On this team, what a fool I was. Here's what I'll say. Let me see if I can spin it.
Okay.
Do you remember in the Knicks series? I forget which game it was that they won, but it was the chicken game. The one that
Yes.
missed 2 missed free throws.
Yes.
All of a sudden ignited the crowd, which ignited the offense, and then they come back to win. What if this is that?
It could be. Well, it could be like the Sirianni yells at the fans thing, and all the team is like, wait a minute, fuck that. That's our guy. And you band together and you say, hey, fuck everyone. It could be. Those things happen.
Yeah, I mean, us against the world, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't want to compare him to the Eagles because I still don't quite believe in the Eagles, and I don't want to compare Sirianni to Embiid. But because I do think the thing Sirianni did was weird and has been weird. But the like, fuck everybody else, like, we're going to be together, protect our guy, kind of, the ties that bond type of situation. Like this is the thing I was going to say about the game, which we could, I guess, pivot to.
Yeah,
is
unfortunately.
Like, they're not big enough to command the glass. They're not dynamic enough on ball to get by people regularly. It's tough to be like too big and too small and too big at the same time in ways that just work against you. They're not smart enough to pass their way to good looks. They don't have much, if any, chemistry because they have 11 new players. And until last night, they were missing all their threes. And even last night, they shot over 40% from 3, but they shot under 40% from 2. So it was just like, it's bad in every imaginable way on court. And if this is if the Napa wine trip is Joel getting into a fight with a reporter in the locker room who brought up his fucking dead brother and son, then like maybe that's the us against the world type thing that the team needed to feel a little spark. I don't know. Who knows?
And truthfully, if he gets suspended 5 games, it means no questions about 5 games about whether he's going to play the next game or not. So seems like maybe a possible win. Look, the thing about the team is, and we can talk about some of the individual players, but the thing about the team is that they are a bunch of players who were signed to complement,
of course,
the good players that they have. Now, all that said, I think I thought even with missing those guys, these guys would be tougher than they've played.
Yeah.
And not look so clueless. I think the thing that has been exposed biggest is actually 2 things. Is that they have a bunch of fine shooters who are not creators. So like the Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre sort of guys who are okay shooters but not great shooters and not particularly good creators. So the only guy who can create offense is truly Maxey, but they're missing 2 guys who could also create offense at elite level. Yeah. And I think we probably could use another guy who could really, really shoot. And then the other thing is that like, and on top of that, I've seen moments from all of these guys that I think will have led me to feel really positive about when the guys are back.
Absolutely.
You know, Eric Gordon, Caleb Martin, Oubre when he's back to being normal, whatever. Yabusele, I think as a power forward will be awesome.
For sure.
The other thing that has struck me is like, talk about being pushed out of your role. Andre Drummond has not been the rebounder that people have expected. And I thought he looks gassed, honestly. Last night, he just looked like he had no energy whatsoever. In the first game, I thought he was really good, but he's been really not good rebounding from a rebounding standpoint and really like bad, I think, a lot of times from a defensive standpoint. And that him standing in there for Embiid is like, I don't want to watch many more like 30-minute Andre Drummond game.
For sure. I mean, here's the, like, they are a team of complementary pieces with nothing to complement right now. And it's going to look like this. They last season they didn't have Paul George. This season So they lost some guys. This season they've allocated even more of their cap space to a player that is not playing yet. And so it's understandable that they look very bad. Do I wish that they looked less bad?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Drummond specifically, he's missing a lot around the rim.
Yep.
He missed a dunk last night, which I like the attempt, but it was a wide open dunk, and he is a center, and you would hope that he'd be able to do that. I'm not on Montrez watch yet.
We have an email about how well Montrez is playing in Australia right now, by the way.
Get out of here. Delete it.
Okay.
But I'm not not thinking about it. Like, he's tried to score over Edey a couple times, and like he was 1 of 7, and you know the kinds of shots that Andre Drummond takes. And when you're 1 of 7 like that, he was bad last night. I will say, I wasn't here to do the podcast, but like, great hands on the perimeter in that Indiana win.
Yes.
Couple big steals. That is like the sneaky cool part of Drummond's game, is that he does really get his hands in there on steals. As far as centers go, he's one of the best at steals in the league. So that was helpful. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would not be an Andre Drummond fan in a world where he's our starting center for the season. Like, that is not a situation. Like, you want him playing 15 minutes a game most nights, and then occasionally when Joel's not there, he plays 30 and he's fine, and Paul George is also there and he can just be the guy that cleans shit up. Like, that's what you want. Ultimately, like, nothing is working right now. Like, coming into last night, they were second to last in the league on threes at 28%, and opponents were shooting 39%, which I think is not just luck, but I'm sure that there will be some regression on both of those numbers. Connected to that number is the fact that the Sixers are last in the league in assists. Last, like, by a sizable margin. They just do not have enough advantage creators. And Maxey had 6 assists last night. I do think still he's taking a lot of he was better last night. It wasn't his fault that they lost, but like, I would love for him to take less ill-advised shots and manipulate the defense more into getting better shots for your teammates. That's harder to do when your teammates aren't hitting threes like they have been doing. Would love to get like more easy buckets inside from him. But like, when everything will look so different and so much easier when Embiid and Paul George are there in a shocking way.
Yeah, and the two best players on the team are there. Yeah.
Yes, it is hard to imagine how much better it'll look, especially because Memphis, they played Santi Aldama, who I really like, at the 3 last night, and it was Aldama, who's a good rebounder, Jaren Jackson, and Zach Edey, and like, that's too much for the Sixers to handle at this point. And Nick Nurse was just in a trying shit mode last night. Like, they were just.
Well, he seems insanely frustrated, by the way. Nick Nurse does. Yeah.
Good. Good. Well, he was pretty shitty to the media also about like not giving him beat updates, whatever. But like, yeah. I mean,
he said fans can check the website to see if he's playing or not.
Good. It's tough. I mean, like
Brett Brown, he is not in
Brett.
That way.
Well, we saw with Brett, it was tough spots for him to be in. Nick is a little bit more of a psychotic young man than Brett was.
Yeah.
I do think Daryl should be handling some of this stuff. At least they got Embiid out there to take some of it, but it's tough for it to be all on Nick. You want to play something?
Yeah, well, I actually had 2 voicemails, one about Daryl, one about Nick, that I wanted you to listen to and we can talk about. Do it right after we talk about LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. Love them. Now, we got an email, a very kind email from a listener talking about everything that we've meant to him. And he's listened for over 10 years. And at the end of it, he said, look, I didn't get our engagement ring from LL, but my wedding band is from LL. Do I get to count in the number? And I believe the answer has to be no.
Well,
it's an engagement ring number.
I think we let LL decide.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure he's listening right now. I'm sure I'll get a text by the end of this ad, actually. So, LL, if you're listening, let me know if that gentleman counts. So, we have 415, something like that, Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners who have purchased engagement rings from LL. Quite simply, he's going to get you a beautiful product. He is going to get it to you at a good price. He is going to not pressure you at all. He's going to treat you amazing no matter what you're spending, whether it's $1,000, $100,000 on an engagement ring. He's not going to pressure you at all. That's why he wants everything to be by appointment, so he has time to spend with you, let you think about it, find out what you want, what you don't want. And we are so proud that he is the first advertiser ever on the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, bullied us into it. And look at this. Look at this. Look at this. There's LL rings and LL babies and LL marriages all over the Delaware Valley. The babies thing, I mean from the couples, not because of LL. If you want to buy an engagement ring from LL, give him a call or shoot him an email or send him a tweet. 215-627-2252 is the phone number. The email address is lee@llpavorsky.com. The store is right there at 707 Walnut. Stopped by a couple of weeks ago. Twice in 2 weeks. One to get a anniversary present for my wife in 10 years, if you can believe that, and wants to drop off a bunch of t-shirts to him. But the store looks beautiful as ever. And he is always a supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
A great gift for the coworker you recently shoved.
Ah, yes. Here is the Nick Nurse voicemail. We got this to 833 Lickface.
Guys, we suck. My biggest concern is that I haven't seen anything creative out of Nick Nurse, which is what we all thought of him before when he was in Toronto. I just see the same problems, the sloppiness and the lack of rebounding. Have you noticed anything? And non-basketball, what do you consider to be your personal highest athletic achievement?
Do you want to do it the second one first? What's your personal highest athletic achievement? Mine's easy. Running a marathon was, I'm never going to top that. Never thought I would do it. I was a fat kid. Never thought I'd run 26 miles at once. So that's it.
I mean, I don't know. Coaching a rec league championship and winning a rec league championship and then winning a co-ed championship with my wife in the same year. I don't
have enough songs for that, Mike. There's not a song for all those things.
Let them overlap.
So what do you think of Nick Nurse's inability to, I find it, he can't be magic.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't mind him trying like crazy shit. Like, okay, everybody wear Halloween masks to play in the game. Like, just be goofy. Like, be distracting. Like, I don't know what you expect him to do. Yeah, it would be nice for the team to do one of those. And I guess what they did. This is what they did in Indiana. Do one of those. Like, man, we just out-efforted them and like an undermanned team finally won, but like losing against the Pistons and getting blown out in a couple other games. I mean, I thought the first like 1 3/4 of the, just before the run before halftime last night, I thought they looked pretty good. Like,
yeah,
it was humming a little bit, and then the wheels kind of fell off. The offense fell off, and then the defense couldn't keep up and rebounding, etc. But
and they're very small, by the way. They're incredibly small, like currently. So from a rebounding perspective, if like the problem is like Yabusele will be a help rebounding when he's a power forward, but when he's a center, he's a minus. Yeah. And you can't really play him with Drummond. You could try.
Not enough shooting, not enough perimeter attacking. Like, it's a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm optimistic about Maxey has not been close to his best, but I do think that it'll be a little bit like taking the donut off a bat when those other guys are there for him.
Yeah.
I think the space that he's going to have is going to be excellent for him. I think he's been getting into that mid-range a little bit more this year, pivoting to the middle. He's probably not going to have that much space to do that when Joel's there, because that's where he operates, but sort of like pivoting, hit a nice step through flip shot over Zach Edey's very long standing reach, which is a cool shot. Yeah, I mean, I think he's just like, he's trying to do it all. He's really taken it upon himself. I think he's been undisciplined rotating and gambling on defense. He's gotten caught a couple times and gotten his teammates in trouble because of it. I think that's just him just being a little bit fried and just wanting to so badly to make a difference that he's undisciplined in times. But I also think he's played so far off his man, which is frustrating for me personally, as you know. But I also love how personally that he takes like guys going ISO on him. Like in that Indiana game, there were a couple big blocks, which was really cool to see. He already has 3 blocks in the year. He had 33 all of last season. He had 3 steals last night. Like, I think he's improving in an individual isolation defense. I think he is getting better. Right now, he has taken large steps back as a team defender, but I think that will get cleaned up for everybody when Joel is back there being the best player, one of the best defensive players in the league.
Yeah, it's hard not to be. And by the way, like you talk about the Sixers being one of the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. You can go back throughout Joel Embiid's entire career and look at the players he plays with 3-point shooting percentage when he's on the court, when he's off the court. It's massively different.
It's massive.
It's almost, he's so much better than we even talk about when he's in there because of all this other stuff.
Absolutely. So then, and obviously it's like, yes, this experiment of Joel's career and trying to keep him healthy is, again, probably not going to end in a championship. Odds are lower than the odds of him just, yes, it finally all worked out and he was healthy and they won one and his teammates were good enough and the schedule worked out, whatever. But it doesn't mean he's not still so good and it's worth trying to do it. Like, that is the best option. The best option of, like, what is the most likely path in a world? What gives the Sixers the best chance at winning a championship is still riding Joel and hoping that finally the stars align, basically. Yeah. And I will say last night, Oubre 4 of 10 from 3. A, I like the volume. B, I like 4 of 10. Got hot a little bit there.
I tell you, when he's not dunking around the rim, I would bet. I wish I could go on DraftKings and bet that it's not going to go in when he lays the ball up.
Oh, I disagree. I mean, it was tough. Like, look, there were shot blockers last night. Edie and Jaren are great shot blockers, so he missed a few, but everybody did. But I like him getting downhill. He elevates on those little, like, 4-footers, like, and just sort of like curls over the rim. There was a nice Oubre play. He missed a corner 3, followed a shot, got a steal and a bucket off of Edie, trying to shuffle it to a guard. I like that. I mean, I just like Oubre, dude. He's far from a perfect player, but I like the effort and energy level and athleticism that he plays with, and it's going to be so helpful once everybody's there. I just want to.
Did you see him saying the name? Did you see the tweet with him saying the name?
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
I wonder if he knew what he was doing or not. But
I think he did. He seems aware enough. And Allie, the girl who was wearing the shirt and got him to say it, I think probably filled him in. I think we just need a Kelly on the pod. I got to ask him about his Misfits tattoo, all that stuff. So here is the, you mentioned Daryl. Here is the voicemail. This one's a little longer, but this guy seemed to have let it out. So this came, just for clarity, this came in yesterday before the push heard round the world, or shove.
Hey guys, where the fuck is Daryl? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I just don't fucking get it. Like, why can't they just tell us? Why is the community? Why do they hate the fans so much? Like, if Embiid's out 4 to 6 weeks, just fucking tell us. Why do we have to go every other day and get an update? Okay, they're not playing in the next fucking game. And you were right, Spike. You said, it reminds me of Brett Brown. Like, Nick Nurse is sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, Daryl needs to get out of his fucking office. It's great he's posting tweets about going to vote. I don't give a fuck that you're voting. It's great that you're voting. You should vote. What the fuck's going on with Embiid and Paul George? Like, just tell us. Just fucking tell us. Now, like, on the court, Coach Mike, what the fuck kind of offense are we running? Like, this guy was supposed to be some major upgrade over Doc. They don't run any fucking plays. Their best play is, hey, Tyrese, make 18 fucking moves and get into a step back over a 6'9" guy and just pray it goes in. It's all this one-on-one shit. There's no player movement. I mean, shit, opening night, Doc's got the Bucks running backdoor layups on us. Hey, when do we run a fucking backdoor layup? We don't run any fucking plays. I just fucking hate it. It's over. It's all fucking over. What are we gonna do? Get into like a 6 or 7 seed and make a run through the East with no fucking home court advantage? I understand the most important thing is health in the playoffs, but like, you have to have some kind of fucking seeding. Like, you just can't fucking assume you're just gonna win every series with no home court. And they have to have continuity. Like, they compare it to Kawhi, like, and just play some games. Kawhi played 60 games, not 40, and the rest of the Raptor team had been together for years. Like, we just put together 7, 8 new guys every fucking year. It's like, you're not going to win a championship that way. You need guys together for a couple of years. So, like, this year, it's not fucking happening. I have no fucking hope. The season's fucked.
it actually got cut off at that point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody's pissed off.
What's
like,
the biggest thing?
It's just like they are starting continuity now. They had to wait for like the other shit to like expire and Tobias to go away and trade hard and all this shit. So like now it's like Maxey will be here for a long time. Paul George will be here for a long time. Embiid, obviously. Caleb Martin signed for a long-term deal. That is, probably Andre Drummond next year, maybe. Like that is.
By the way, Daryl, if you want to come on the pod and talk about it,
sure. That's as close as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
There's not like we've been frustrated with the continuity of Tobias for as many years as possible. Continuity only matters when you're good. You don't want continuity with bad.
Right.
So, look, they're going to look like shit if Joel and Paul George don't play. Like, that's it. It would be nice if they won, if they were like 2-3 instead of a bad 1-4. But like obviously they should have beaten the fucking Pistons. Would have been nice. But the Pistons are a better team than the Embiid and Paul George-less Sixers. They are. They're a better team. They have better players. They have more like dynamic offensive players. Cade is probably better than Maxey as far as like a number one overall option. So like that's what's gonna fucking happen. You're gonna lose those games without your best players. If you took me and Spike off the podcast and replaced us with fucking like LL and Mortgage CS, it would be a worse podcast. Not to say anything about those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who I like.
And the same, if you put us in charge of their mortgage or jewelry businesses, way worse.
Significantly worse at those than the podcast would be without us. But like that's the cornerstone of the shit. They got to be
TV
there.
TV shows would be worse if I was writing on them. My radio show would be worse if Mike was hosting.
I'd be getting a lot of fined by the FCC a lot.
So
there, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm not saying it's not frustrating. I will say, I heard some Doc compliments in there. And I just want to say thank you so much to the nearly completely healthy Milwaukee Bucks for being 1-4 without 1-5. I'm sorry, with Giannis and Dame.
Yeah,
1-5. They've lost 5 games in a row. They did beat the Sixers on opening night.
Adrian Griffin somewhere, just like being like.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable how bad Doc is. It's so good. And so let's just take a second and enjoy that. I watched them lose to the Cavs last night at home after the Sixers loss, and I took great joy in that.
Cavs 6-0.
Yeah, they're a good team right now. Got a lot of guys.
Let me ask you before we go. Let me ask you this about Milwaukee because I had this on my list. There was a report from Jake Fisher, and actually I'm not all that surprised, and I think it might be true that the Bucks have started to take the temperature on a Brook Lopez trade. You wouldn't. He makes $21 million. They could get to it. Would you think about that?
So I mean, Drummond would have to be in that trade.
Yeah, of course. But it would take the KJ Martin contract. It would take Jared McCain, and then I guess my question is, would you trade?
Would he be the move?
Caleb Martin. Because the Bucks need a point of attack defender. That's what they need. So, would you trade?
I mean, it would require Drummond, Caleb, KJ.
Yes.
And probably maybe not McCain, but that saps us of some stuff. I probably wouldn't do it.
No.
Also, the idea, even though I think Brook Lopez is the best player in the league, it would hurt so bad to watch him shoot like 26% from 3 again for the Sixers. Like that would just be so torturous. I will say, you might not remember this because you're not a college guy, but I've been on this podcast begging for a 3-and-D big for so long. Jay Huff went to Virginia, graduated 3 years ago. As a senior, he improved his 3-point percentage, shot more than he had, and took a big leap at the line. And he's always been a great shot blocker at the rim. And they just no one got him. And he's been kicking around G League, doing whatever. And now he finally plays for Memphis. And he's such a clear rotation player to be able to hit legitimate threes and protect the rim and just like roll. Had a big dunk last night, and watching Reggie Jackson come in the game and be like, okay, we're trying Reggie Jackson this time. And he's like, first order of business, I'm going to play off Jay Huff. I'm too worried about Jay Huff's drive. that I got to play off him a couple times. Hits 2 threes in his face. It's so frustrating when you're like, the Sixers have never like tried to have a stretch 5 that's like legit with the legitimate size. It's like, why not? And I'm so mad that I'm happy for JF and I like the Grizzlies, so like good for him there. They just signed him to a legitimate 4-year deal. So that sucked. You wouldn't have to go get Brook Lopez if you just had tried instead of like fucking random ass fucking. They should have had him. What's going on? Why wasn't he here? He should have been here. I'm so annoyed. No, I wouldn't do it. Let me say a couple more things about the game. We didn't talk about Jared McCain. We should talk about Jared McCain.
Yeah. Okay.
We should talk about Jared McCain.
Yeah, he played well, but it was like it was the useless time in the game. I just like
not the whole time was useless though.
Yeah.
Career high 19 points, 8 of 16 from the field. He, coming into the game, had a pretty alarming lack of threes attempted. Hadn't made one yet. And then he finally got one last night and then hit another one from real deep soon after. He keeps moving, man, in a way that you don't see from an NBA player like that. His little legs really scoot around the court like that. He anticipates, he gets rebounds because of it. He gets give and goes. He had a nice little give and go with Drummond and then a pretty nifty finish around the rim.
It speaks to what Sam said from Light Years, comparing him to Curry, and that Curry's always moving in that way too, even without the ball. So I thought,
very different kind of movement.
Yes.
They're not the same. They don't look the same in that way. And I definitely don't. I still don't really see Steph there. But the effort, the toughness, like there was a play in. I think he had Siakam on him, and he forced I forget if it was a travel or an out of bounds thing, just because he's like sturdy in there. Good. I mean, good for him. Like I'm surprised that he's playing. Like even though there's 2 guys out, so he'd be the 11th guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't shooting.
Right.
But he's playing, firmly in the rotation over Ricky Council, over Reggie Jackson. That's a little surprising to me. I'm happy for him. I was never a McCain guy. People will know that, but like he's playing better than I thought he would for sure. And there's some rookie moments, like he had a bad turnover caught in midair. He tried, the times when he looks Evan Turner-y is when he goes up against like a big shot blocker, like he has a plan, and Jaren just like sent him back so many times pretty pointlessly. But he had like floater over Brandon Clark, nice touch, snake to pick and roll, kept Ja in jail, and then hit a nice scoop off the glass. Like there was a lot of like, there's a ton of confidence there. He doesn't look like he's scared of doing anything. He doesn't seem hesitant in ways. Took a pull-up 3, was long on it, whatever. But in a game that they lost by 17, obviously a lot of garbage time, he finishes a +1. There's some really nice stuff to see in there, and it is important to note that even though like I do think he's small, I do think he doesn't have a ton of on-ball juice, and he's really athletically not. It'd be so much nicer if he could like jump like 5 more inches.
You got to get in that B-ball Paul.
You got to get on the B-ball Paul routine, but it's important. It's like he was the best player on a Duke team that was very good as a freshman, and he might just like have enough to be like IQ, confidence, shooting, and like a sense of offensive flow. He might just be enough to be a better player than I was giving him credit for. I still don't see him being like a first division starter type of guy, but I think if he ascends to be, like if Jared McCain wins a 6th Man of the Year award, like that's a nice pick. Like if he's in the 6th Man of the Year conversation, obviously not this year, but like in his career, I was thinking at some of this was like, because he's played every game. I was thinking like, are they going like, well, we know we're bad right now. We may as well try to showcase Jared in a trade. I don't think that they would do that. I don't think Nick would do that. I think they think that he's one of the 9 best players in the team right now. And also they need handling and shooting. And, he's in and out. They're not going to, put him out as a starter anytime soon. But he's just better than I thought he'd be, and I still have criticisms for sure, and the pick is what the pick was. Dalton Connect's playing well in Lakers. Tristan Da Silva had a great game for the Magic. I tend to just like bigger guys that can do more stuff, but he's I mean 19 points is 19 points. That's like one of the rookie highs of the season so far in a relatively underwhelming rookie class, but good for him.
All right. Well,
wait, let me say two more things.
Okay. Oh,
Eric
Jesus.
Gordon. I do love how he's attacking closeouts.
Yes.
He's a really nice lefty finish around Jaren at the rim. It's not just attacking closeouts though. Like he still has some of that like Indiana high school basketball scorer in him. He was a really, really, really good high school player. Like he was second in that class behind Michael Beasley. A ton of shiftiness when there's a ball in his hand sometimes, and I'm just you're squinting to see it with a lot of these guys, but like when those other two all-star, all-NBA players are there, it is going to look so much better, and it is frustrating, and it's easy to blame everybody for them not being a little bit more competent. But once again, this is what we said last year. They were a worse team in this year and last year, worse team without Embiid than in years past. Than the team without Embiid, like less equipped to play without Embiid than in years past. Although Drummond will help some, but they're so well built for Embiid when he's there.
Right.
And so that is the choice that they've made as far as optimizing what it looks like when Joel is healthy and now when Paul George is healthy. Things will make so much more sense there. And right now there's just a big, huge gap in there. And so I feel like Eric is going to be really helpful. Had a couple big threes, two back-to-back deep ones, which got the arena going, which was a rare case last night.
Well, by the way, of anyone averaging 10 minutes a game or more, he and KJ Martin have the highest plus-minus on the team. Eric Gordon and KJ Martin do.
Yeah. KJ's good, dude. I love how much he knows himself. He just knows.
Yes.
He just
never
knows
does anything that you don't want him to do.
No, and
he's not great at anything, but he also
he gets downhill.
Sort of like is in the flow of the game whenever he's in there.
Absolutely, it would be nice. That would be like if they had J Huff, a KJ Martin J Huff 4-5 would be really nice because some rim is protected, somebody's out there shooting, and KJ can kind of get downhill and cover bigger guys and be physical. I like the full package. I'll probably get traded, but I appreciate what KJ Martin has done. He runs his ass off. I think Drummond was so bad last night that I would have preferred more KJ. It's like Drummond was really just not getting us anything. I want to couple big blocks from KJ on defense, recovery blocks. It was cool to see. Caleb, yeah, struggling as a shooter right now. 1 of 7 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3. Has like seems like he's thinking about his outside shot a little too much. Like sometimes he releases it where he's like he jumps as high as possible and then releases it kind of on his way down, and sometimes he releases it he doesn't really elevate on his 3 and sort of like has like a flat-footed thing going on there. I don't know if that's just a feel thing or if he's tinkering or if he's just like a baseball player trying a new bat or different batting gloves or no batting gloves or whatever. But I will say, I love how hard he attacks the rim. He's been getting rewarded for it by getting to the line more than this type of guy normally would. He's already this year at 32 free throws attempted, second on the team. Last year, he had 99 all year, and he's already at 32. That's like a kind of a cool sign. It'll probably go down once those other guys are there, but the idea that he can go hard enough and get rewarded for initiating contact, I think is good. Had a really nice split the double team, get Edey to bite, and then a wraparound pass to Drummond for a dunk. You haven't seen much of that. I expected a little bit more passing, but the whole team as a whole wasn't passing. And I want to say Yabusele going 3 of 6 from deep is a really good sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really,
and he's
really
taking
good
them.
sign.
He's taking them and taking them quickly.
Yeah, he's not going to, I'm only going to keep bringing up J Huff because I'm so mad that he's not on the Sixers. But like J Huff gets those threes off so quickly and he doesn't need that much space. And as soon as he's open, he knows he's open. He takes it off. Yabu needs to see it. He needs to be like, okay, I have 5-ish feet of space. I'm going to shoot it high. I'm going to step into it. And he was 3 of 6. That's really nice to see. I would love to, once like enough guys are healthy, I would love to see him play more 4, obviously. And you got to note that Kyle Lowry is shooting 63% on threes.
Yeah.
He was 3 of 4 last night. Guy's unbelievable. I'm happy he's here. So again, it was all bad. The Grizzlies, even without Bane and Smart, are still a really good team. Ja is What a...
Oh, lost your mic, buddy.
Oh. Kate said he was deliberate as a...
No. I'm getting your computer mic now. Might be time to... Yeah, there it is. It was everyone telling you that we've heard enough about the Grizzlies game, Mike. It was what we're... Are you done?
Now.
All right, yeah.
Anyway, Ja's cool. The how athletic he is, plus how like deliberate he is, and the handle. He's like James Harden mixed with like Steve Francis mixed with like Derek Jones, like with like he's just such a crazy athlete. I will say there was a rumor about Jake LaRavia being available because they have too many young guys and maybe declining his option. That would be an interesting like kind of low swing power forward option. He can shoot. He has a decent shot blocker at the 4. He's kind of a smart player. He's getting bumped off by some better players, but I would not mind Jake LaRavia as like a future second round pick trade type of thing that happens here.
You got anything else, Mike?
Reminder to vote Tuesday.
There you go.
Get out there. I love voting. I feel very good doing it. And I love voting against Josh Harris's interest. That's what I like to do. And it's going to be, I do think like yes is a what the fuck moment.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So now we have 2.
We have 2.
Yeah.
It's one. This is a good one. This is a really juicy what the fuck. You're going to get your money's worth. It's like when a baseball manager gets tossed, you're like, okay, this counts as one for sure.
Yep, you're kicking dirt on the umpire. And
absolutely.
Yes.
And it's bad right now. It's definitely bad. But I do think that in 3 weeks, a month, I'm not saying that that's going to be how long it takes till they get back, but like there will be a stretch when we go like, oh, they're the best team in the league. Oh, when everybody's healthy, they're the best team in the league. And so let's just look forward to that.
Bunch of dumb fucking assholes.
You gotta feel the bottom. You gotta scrape that bottom so you can know what it's like when you get to the top. I still am optimistic for like the ceiling of this team. I still absolutely am. How likely it is that they reach it on a consistent level or in April, May, obviously still quite low, but there are going to be times this year that this shit looks really good, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I would like for them to actually play, and then we can get there. If we get to point 1, then point 2.
Let's try.
All right. Go Birds, by the way. And,
go Birds.
And we will talk to you, I think, Thursday. I think. Oh, because West Coast trip, right? So
yes. Yeah, Sixers Clippers, which is a game I don't think I'm going to be able to make it there from work, which is a bummer. But
it's not that much of a bummer, though.
I want to see into it, though.
Yeah.
I want to see what it's like. I want to see the wall.
You don't have to watch the Sixers to do it, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I got to watch the Sixers anyway.
Right,
so
right.
I may as well be
2
there.
birds, 1 stone. 2 birds, 1 stone. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. No. Like face.